Hello and welcome to my channel. We all have a story, and I thought I'd jump on here and update you on. I did go to New York, which New York itself, the trip was really nice. The outcome of the what am I trying to say? The outcome was exactly as I expected. They told me I have to do chemo before they could do any kind of surgery on me because I have to get my CEA number down and I have to get my tumors smaller. And they won't do chemo on me if I don't do that. I mean, surgery. They won't give me surgery. So I had half considered surgery. Geez, I can't think tonight. Can't talk. I had half considered doing the chemo, and then I realized, no, I'm just not going to take that chance. I'm just not going to take the chance because the first chemo sent me into stage 4. And then the only other option they really have is a different type of chemo. They only have like 2 types that they use for colon cancer. And the other one is worse than the first one. Generally, the side effects, the vomiting, the nausea, the sickness is way worse. Now, Hoxie tells me that people that do their regimen generally have a much easier time with chemo. But if I'm sick and vomiting and I can't keep anything down, then how can I have an easier time with chemo? And then I'd have to have the port put back in, which there's always a risk with that. There's always a risk with the port. The port can cause you to have blood clots that could kill you. My first port was fine. I didn't have any of those issues. I don't really want to do a second one. I don't want to do chemo. I just agonized over it for about a week, I guess you would say, because my family wants me to do chemo because they want me there. Like, it's the only chance that you have for surgery is to do chemo. And I just don't feel like chemo is the answer for me. You know, if it was the answer, it would have been the answer 2 years ago, and I wouldn't have gone into stage 4. And of course, you know, this other chemo is different, and you know, maybe the outcome would be different. Maybe it would be, but maybe it wouldn't be. I don't know. There's no way of knowing. The risks are so high no matter what I do. No matter what I do. So I have decided at this point that I'm just going to keep on with the Hoxie stuff. I think I'm going to have them do the dendritic cell therapy on me again, but I want them to do it for longer. They only did it for 3 months last time, and I don't think it was enough time. I feel like I needed at least 6 months, if not 9 months, because we do every 3 months. So I'd like to do at least 6 months, maybe 9 months of that, which would be a little harder because then I got to go to Mexico every 3 months. And see if that helps at all. And I also want to get on to high dose vitamin C, intravenous vitamin C. I'm going to have to do that here in Tennessee. I can't do it as often as I need to. They would like for me to do it twice a week, but I don't have the money for that. It's expensive. I think it's something like $200 every time you do it. So I can't afford to do it twice a week. And my veins can't handle doing it twice a week. I only have one good vein. And if you do it twice a week, you'd have to go either in the same vein, which you can't. Once my vein has been accessed once, it needs at least 2 weeks to recover. And then on my other arm, I mean, nobody can ever access any. I mean, even the good paramedics that when I was having my surgery for my colon cancer, they couldn't get a vein on my right arm. When I was in Mexico and they tried to put a vein, a line in me, it took them I think they finally did, but it took a really long time and a lot of agony for them to finally get a line in my right arm. So once a month is about all I could afford. It's not as much as I need, but it's better than nothing. So maybe that'll help. The high dose vitamin C, dendritic cell therapy. And I've just resigned myself to the fact that Unless God gives me a miracle, which is always possible, and God can give me a miracle, and maybe these things will work. But unless He chooses to give me a miracle, I'm not going to be healed. I'm going to die of cancer at some point, unless I get in some freak accident or something. So my desire is just to live as long as I can, be as healthy as I can for as long as I can. And chemo is not a way to stay healthy. I mean, I did meet someone up in New York. We were sitting. I got to tell you about New York. New York was a really nice experience. We had a really good time. My brother went with me. We had a really good time. We were at this restaurant, and these two ladies were sitting next to us. And when I got my food, apparently my food looked really good. And they're like, "Ooh, what is that?" And we started talking to these ladies. We talked the whole rest of the time. And the lady sitting next to me, closer to me, she's been fighting cancer for 17 years. I mean, that's good in a sense. I mean, for 17 years, she's stayed alive for 17 years. It wasn't the same cancer. Like one would go away and another one would pop up, which is what happens with chemo. You tend to get new cancers that pop up. But her body is just so, she says there are times when she calls her sister up and she's like, "I think I'm dying." Her body is so messed up. They don't want her swimming because they're afraid of her getting any kind of bacteria in her body. And if she's got any kind of small cut, going in a swimming pool or in the ocean. So she can't really swim, and she's got to do chemo all the time, constantly doing chemo. It's just not how I want to live. I mean, if you think about it, 17 years to be alive for your family is great. It's nice. But she's been through a lot in that 17 years. And her body is weak and tired and sore. And, some days are just are really hard for her. And if I can't be healthy and able to, I mean, I can't say I'm healthy now, but I'm healthy enough. I mean, when I was up in New York, the day that we had planned to just go and do New York things, I walked 4 miles that day. 4 miles. I walked from our hotel all the way up and down, up Central Park, not the whole way up, but almost the whole way up. Took a bus back down, and then went back to our hotel, and then we walked to Times Square, and had dinner up there, and walked back. And I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe I was able to do that. And had just a wonderful time. Just a wonderful time. And so that's if I am going to live a shorter amount of time, I want a lot of those type of moments, where I feel healthy and I can just live as normal as possible. So that's just what I've kind of decided. Now, someone did tell me about that Turkey will do surgery on you without having to require you to do chemo. I sent them an email. I never heard back from them. I'm going to have to try to call them. And when I say Turkey, I mean Turkey, the country, Istanbul. But in order to call them, I got to get up at, really stupid early because they're like 8 hours ahead. And I just haven't done that yet. I would like to talk to them. Maybe they didn't email me back because what I heard about them was false. Maybe they won't do that. But I would like to find out, if I got to go to Turkey and have surgery, if it means saving my life, I'll do it, So anyway, New York I really enjoyed it. I was really surprised. I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I did. We had a really good time. Me and my brother, we really had a good time there. We stayed in Midtown Manhattan. And like I said, we could walk to Central Park. We could walk to Times Square. Had no idea that Grand Central Station was just right there. If I'd have known that, we probably would have walked there too. I would like to have seen Grand Central Station, but I got to see what I wanted to see. I wanted to see Times Square, and I wanted to see Central Park, and I did. By the way, whoever thought up Central Park, what the heck were you thinking? New York is all gridded out, completely, as anybody knows, completely, perfectly gridded out. Central Park, there ain't a stinking grid in that park. And no wonder women get mugged, because how easy is it to get lost in there? Because there's not a sidewalk, There's not a road that goes straight. There's nothing straight through that park. Everything's twisty, windy, turny. Of course women are going to get mugged because they can't just run quickly out. They need to have at least one road that goes all the way north and south through it, one straight line, and all the way east and west through it. That way, if somebody needs to run out of there to get away from somebody, they can. But everything is I kept getting turned around in that place. And I couldn't believe at one point we sat down and it felt like we had been walking what I felt was north the whole way, but apparently we weren't. And at one point we sat down and we were facing south. And I was like, I kept getting mixed up. I couldn't figure out where I was. And I'm glad I had my brother with me because I wouldn't have wanted to walk through there by myself, even in the daytime, because it's so easy to get lost. I mean, you could pull up your phone and have GPS or whatever, but still, I'm glad I had my brother. So, I went all the way up to New York to hear exactly what I expected to hear. I don't know why they couldn't have just told me that without me having to go all the way up there. But it is what it is. I got a nice little trip to New York out of it. I always wanted to see New York, so I can't complain. So that's where I am. I'm just going to keep on with the Hoxie, do the dendritic cell therapy again, do it for longer, do intravenous high-dose vitamin C. I started taking dandelion root, which I heard is supposed to be really good for that sort of, for taking care of things like cancer. I mean, so was SCACT. SCACT was supposed to be really wonderful too, and I did that for 8 months, and it didn't seem to help me any. So I'm just, I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep working to save this body, this temple that is of the Lord, do my due diligence to take care of it. I don't really feel like, I can do chemo because I just feel like it's evil. I mean, there are people that do it and are healed from it, and that's wonderful. I don't, think poorly of people who do it. I just can't. I just, morally and physically and mentally, I just can't do it. I just can't. So I'm not. And that means I'll be dead in a year or 2 or 3, then I guess I'll be dead in a year or 2 or 3. But maybe I won't be. Maybe God will give me a miraculous healing. And he can do it. And, they always say, pray believing. That's a hard one for me. Pray believing that you'll receive it. I mean, the scripture says that. But it's a hard one for me because I believe that I can receive it, but I don't know if it's in God's will for me to receive it. So I really struggle with that one. So if I believe more, would it be more in his will? Because I don't feel like his will is based on my belief. I believe my belief is based on his will. So if I have a hard time believing that it is his will for me, maybe that's because it's not. But I still pray for healing, and I hope that you guys would still pray for healing for me as well. Pray for the lady that I met in New York. Her name was Candy. I'll never see her again. But she was sweet. Her sister was there with her, and it was a wonderful conversation. I will tell you, where I was in New York City, people were nice. You hear New Yorkers are like mean and grumpy and, irritable people, but everybody was nice. And I everywhere I went, I told people, I was like, you guys get a bad rep for being mean and grumpy and, rude. And I was like, I haven't met anyone but nice people since I've been here. Those ladies in that restaurant were wonderful. My server, we went to this Irish pub, and it was the worst food I ever had. I mean, Irish pubs usually have really good food, but this one didn't. But the server was amazing. He was so great. And I told him, I was like, I just want to let you know I left a bad review for the restaurant, but that has nothing to do with you. You were amazing. So the bad review is not about you at all. And I tipped him really good because he was really amazing. Great server. And I mean, I enjoyed it because I just enjoyed the people. I enjoyed the time that I had with my brother. I wasn't real happy about, what I heard from the doctors, but it's what I expected. good memories. I'm glad to have gone. And, my life right now is about making good memories as much as I can. There for a while, I know I'm rambling. It's been 15 minutes. Nobody's probably listening anymore. But for a while, I'd considered moving back to Colorado and moving in with my brother because it would be nice to live with somebody while I'm going through this. And that's still a possibility. But in lieu of making good memories, I have 2 grandchildren and one on the way. And I really want to be as much a part of their lives as possible. And if I leave here, then I don't get to see them like I do now. So in a way, I think Colorado would be good for me because I have a nice church family there. And let me tell you, I have not had any luck at finding a church here. The churches here so far have been just awful. I got up in the middle of one service and walked out of one because they were singing the national anthem. It's 4th of July, and all they did was talk about America and sing songs to America. And I know a lot of churches do that, but I go to church to worship Jesus, not to worship the nation that I live in. And I don't want to sing songs to the nation. I want to sing songs to my God. So I had to get up and leave because I just couldn't take it. But pray for me because I am struggling to find a church. I've been to a few and went to one for a while, and it just didn't seem like a place where I could grow and participate, really. But anyway, I'll cut this off now. It's 16 minutes into it, almost 17. So I just thought I'd jump on here. Haven't updated you all in a while. And that's where I am. My next step is, I guess I'll go back to Hoxie probably in October. And then that'll start my going there every 3 months. And there's more I could talk about, but I'll do that in another video. So I hope everybody is doing well. I hope nobody ever sends me prayer requests. I would love it if you would send a prayer request for me to pray for you. We all could use prayer, every last one of us. I could use prayer to find a good church. I could use prayer for direction for my future. And could use for you to pray for Candy that I met in New York. And pray for those who are on the front lines doing God's work, more, that I'm not doing because of my illness right now. So pray for your missionaries and pray for your pastors if they're good pastors. If they're bad pastors, pray for them that they'll become good or they'll just quit doing ministry. So anyway, God bless you guys. I hope you're doing well. Take care. Do all the YouTube-y things, like, share, subscribe, and have a wonderful, wonderful weekend and the rest of your summer. Take care. Bye-bye.